Hey guys, time for your first tip with Daily Dose with Desi. So, one thing I've realized is my dad raised me a little differently than most, but I still to this day remember the tips that he gave me should I ever be attacked or someone's trying to kidnap me. So, first thing I want to clarify, we don't condone violence. This is not a tool to go out and use to be violent or get across any type of agenda. These are just helpful tips that you may want to consider teaching your children about, and also any women in your family, men in your family. Just, I think it's good to know all around. So, just really basic. You don't have to have a weapon with you. You don't have to have a gun or a knife or anything like that. Sometimes it's just as simple as using what's around, like your keys. So I like to use my car key because it gives me a little more something in my hand, so I'm not as worried about breaking fingers or hands or anything like that. Anytime I'm walking to my car at night or in an area I feel uneasy, I always have my keys in my hand. Typically my right hand. I am right-handed, not left-handed. That way, whatever hand you're dominant with, so anything that just feels more comfortable, it can make the world of a difference. There is such thing called bystander syndrome. I might not be labeling that correctly, but basically what it states is that sometimes people just think you're throwing a fit. They don't necessarily know that something seriously wrong is happening. So make sure you're also using your words very clearly, whether that's, my dad taught me as a child to say, "You're not my daddy," and scream it. So that way no one thinks, hey, you're just a bad kid throwing a fit and that parent's having a hard day. So, whatever you want to come up with, I suggest coming up with that plan in your head beforehand. It's always better to be prepared, and better safe than sorry. So, whether you want to use your car key or another key, you want it between your fingers, as close to your fist as possible, as the rest of your hand as possible. And this way, it's not as easy to move around. Also, keep in mind, it does not take much pressure to pop an eyeball out. So, always go for the eyes, the throat, but typically I want to say the eyes. The less you have to think about when under pressure, the better. Whether if you don't have your keys handy, you can also use a thumb. If you go for the inside, push in and pop out, you want to, stop your attacker. That might just save your life one day. Also, situational awareness. We're going to be going over that a lot more. Pay attention to your surroundings. Notice who is lurking about, who seems like they're just out of place, but also pay attention to those people who seem like they're in place, because that might be just how good they are at this. So also, don't walk to your car or to your office with your hands full. Always try to keep your dominant hand open, not only in case you fall, because if you're klutzy like me, that's bound to happen from time to time, but also because you want to have a way to fight off. And if anything's in your hand, just drop it. It's not worth your life. You can always replace stuff. You can't replace people. So keep that in mind. And when you do it, don't stop. I think the biggest thing I cannot stress enough is whether you think, oh, I see blood, or oh, I must have hurt him. It's going to shock you, but do not stop. I have heard of many cases where that was the difference between life and death. So don't stop. Scream something that clearly states you don't want this to happen, not just no or get away from me. Unfortunately, as much as those should be clear telltale signs to people, sometimes it's just not, especially if you're a child. Like I said, they can think, oh gosh, that kid's just throwing a really bad fit. Now, parents, I recommend you decide for yourself what's best to teach your children and also your loved ones. But like I said, it's always better to be prepared and be safe rather than sorry. So keep in mind, always go for the eyes. It's the simplest thing, less to think about while you're under pressure. Anytime you're walking your car, keep your dominant hand open. Use something like your keys. If you don't have keys on you, a pen, a pencil, anything like that. If you drop it or it breaks, don't let that shock you. Keep going. Don't stop. And also verbalize, I don't know you. This is not okay. Or in the case of how my dad taught me, if it's a man, you knee them between the legs as they bend over, you stick your fingers in their eyes and push and pop, and you scream, "You're not my daddy." And that way, hopefully someone will notice something is going on and also be there to help you. So stay tuned for more tips. We're going to get more into situational awareness and some actual examples, hands-on. So any other input, I'd love for you guys to leave in the comments. Please like and share this. I suggest, like I said, coming up with your own plan, your own strategy, especially to teach your children. That way you don't ever hear, oh, well, they were screaming, but I thought they were just throwing a fit. So, all right, guys, Have a great night and tune in next time.